All right, so I'm live. I'm live. I'm live. I'm live. I'm gonna try and wait. Let's see if I have any questions. I got enough followers, I think, so people can come in and ask questions and whatever the case may be. Um, so come on in, 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 come on in. So I'm gonna try and wait for some people to come in, and if not, I guess I'm off of here, and I just need some more subscribers or whatever. But YouTube should be pushing me out to my subscribers, so we'll just see. We'll see if people want to come in and ask me questions and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Because I know a lot of people on my YouTube side. You guys have questions too. I'm pretty certain of it. I'm pretty certain you guys have subscribed to my videos and you guys want to know certain things. So, all right, here goes nothing. So here goes nothing and me trying to answer this stuff for you guys. I'm gonna try and wait for people to come into the live and ask me questions they think I should answer. What answers to? So when you guys come in, just say hi, hello, how you doing, and let me know. Right, I got my laptop, so if you guys have any Bible questions, I probably can go to my laptop and read the Bible verse, or whatever. So you guys know that there's a lot of views that I have that you guys probably had questions about. Like I just made a video about Jesus being God. Yes, the New Testament is trying to make the argument that Jesus is God. I can see why people try to argue that it's not, but definitely when you look at the cultural context of the New Testament and when you understand the cultural themes they're gleaming off of, these people definitely did think that Jesus was God. They thought that Jesus was the Messiah, and they thought that Jesus was God. When I say they, I'm talking about the New Testament authors. That is what they believed. When you guys come into the chat, just say hi, just speak, hey, hello, good afternoon, good evening, whatever it is in your neck of the woods. So that's one video I made a video on about Jesus being God, because people always ask me about, is Jesus God? What about the Trinity? And as somebody who only primarily deals with critical scholarship, the Trinity is not in the Bible. I don't know any Trinitarian who would argue that it is in the Bible. At least explicitly or verbatim. The Trinity is not in the Bible. There definitely is not a hint or a trace of the Trinity in the Hebrew Bible. It ain't there. It's not there. What people try and do is people try to go back into, hey, what's up? Malachi. People try to go back into the Hebrew Bible so they can argue what they already believe in the text, but it's not actually there. So where did that even come from? The Trinity. The Trinity comes from, I think, 3rd century Tertullian. He was the first person to actually coin the argument. He didn't create the Trinity. The concept of the Trinity was already a thing. I think it comes around 3rd or 4th century. But the first coined argument can be traced back to the church father Tertullian. And from there, people try to go back into the Hebrew Bible and argue the Trinity. And the Trinity, it ain't there. I'm sorry to tell you, it ain't there. It ain't in the Hebrew Bible. It wasn't even a concept to the ancient Israelites. People will go to verses like Genesis chapter 1, verse 27, where God said, let us make man in our own image. But that ain't talking about the Trinity. What that is talking about, I actually would agree with Dr. Michael Heiser on this. Genesis 1:27 is talking about Yahweh's or Elohim's divine council. So the gods used to have a council of people, or a council of gods. A god used to have a council of gods. You see this concept in Canaanite religion. The Canaanite gods have a council. The Egyptian gods have a council. The Babylonian gods, they have a council. They all have a council of gods. Yeah, sort of like a pantheon. You said it's man-made doctrine. What's man-made doctrine? The concept of the Trinity. Yes, all doctrines are man. All doctrines are man-made. Even the idea that a God exists, there was a man or maybe a group of men who came to that conclusion that, hey, I think that there's a God. Every doctrine is man-made. What we have to try and figure out is that doctrine actually true? But every doctrine is man-made. Every theology, every philosophical concept is made by people, unless you think like some zebras are coming together and zebras are having divine councils and trying to figure stuff out. Everything is man-made. So all we have here are human minds to help us figure out. I'm sorry, we do not have the mind of God. We do not have the mind of God to like tell us like this is this. That would be really intuitive and really nice, but we just do not have the mind of God to just give us shortcuts to our conclusions. But Genesis 127, when you look at Genesis 127 in relationship to the ancient Near East, Genesis 127 definitely is not talking about a trinity when God says, let us. God is speaking to his council of other gods. Sorry to tell you this. The Israelites were not polytheists, but they were what's called a flavor of henotheism, called monolatrous or monolatry. So henotheism is the acknowledgement of other gods, but you only worship one divine God out of the many. And a flavor that is monolatry. So the ancient Israelites were monolatrist. They were not polytheist. Polytheist is when you worship many gods or deities. The Israelites only worshipped one deity, but they definitely did acknowledge other deities and other gods as being real. So you see that concept in Genesis 1:27, where Elohim is talking to his council of Elohim, or El is talking to Elohim, or whatever you want to put it as. So yeah, Genesis 1:27 is talking about that. And people try and read the Trinity into that all the time. But that's actually not what's going on. If you guys got any questions for me, it's for you guys in here so far. Don't forget to share this live around. Tap the screen. I'm saying tap the screen like I'm on TikTok. Hit the like button. And if you guys got any questions, let me know if you guys got any questions for me. What do you guys want to know? Have you guys seen my videos? And if you have, what videos do you have questions about? I also made some videos talking about how, no, Adam and Eve didn't exist. Adam and Eve didn't exist. That doesn't mean that God isn't real. That doesn't mean the Bible isn't true. The way how we've been taught the Bible isn't true. So a lot of times we bring our modern expectations that somebody taught us from the time we were 5 years old, from the time we were 6 years old, and we bring that to the text of the Bible. So we expect the Bible to be what we were taught from the time we were 5, 4, 6 years old. And then somebody like me has to come and basically burst your bubble and say, no, you've actually been reading that Bible verse wrong for 22 years. You've been reading that Bible verse wrong for 57 years. I'm sorry. This is not the case. So I'll talk about Adam and Eve and how they weren't real. I'll talk about that in a video. Adam and Eve didn't exist. Genesis chapters 1-11 is not history. Genesis chapters 1-11 is what academics call mythohistory. It is meta-narrative, and it is not meant to be taken as history in the first place. So you guys might have questions on that. You guys might have questions on the second coming of Christ. You guys know I also hold to the belief that the second coming of Christ was not about anybody in 2024. And I'm going to turn my laptop off. I know you guys heard this in the background. The second coming of Christ wasn't about anybody in 2024. The second coming of Christ was about the first century audience that would have been alive when Christ was alive, when Christ was walking the earth those people were expecting his second coming, and the second coming was about them, not you today in 2024. That's because they've been reading it without cultural context or the original audience. Most people, you would be surprised. I honestly would say, if I had to put a number on it, 0.001% of people actually understand the Bible. 0.001%. You don't even get a full 1%. I would say 0.001% of people understand their Bible. So, or at least understand the methodology to understand the Bible. That doesn't mean that biblical scholars understand everything, but biblical scholars have models and methodologies for figuring things out. But yeah, if I had to put a number on it, 0.001% of people understand the Bible. And the majority of people think they understand the Bible. But when you sit down and when you explain to people the methodologies for understanding the text, and when you point out the assumptions they bring to the text, people literally have meltdowns. People literally have whole entire meltdowns and breakdowns, and they are not ready for it. A really good example of this is most people today, most Christians, most Jews believe that Moses wrote the Torah. And there ain't one Bible verse that says Moses wrote the Torah. It ain't in there. But people believe that because that's what they've been told in modern tradition. In 1604, when the King James Bible came out, the King James Bible titles Genesis, the first 5 books of Moses. I think that the reason why many people think you're destroying their made-up realities, hey, man, I am only here to give the truth and tell the truth. When you go to the King James Bible in 1604, it titled Genesis the first 5 books of Moses. I don't think there's anywhere else in literature that refers to Moses as the author of the Torah. Maybe you might have some midrash, but that comes 2nd century. But the King James Bible, as far as I know, is the first really big piece of literature available to the public that told people that Moses was the author of the Torah. Well, because people get told that from the time that, they're little kids, people go into the Bible and they read that assumption into text, like John chapter 5:46. When Jesus is speaking to the Pharisees, and Jesus says, if you would have believed Moses, you would have believed me, because Moses wrote about me. But that verse doesn't say, if you would have believed Moses, you would have believed me, because Moses wrote the Torah. Jesus never said Moses wrote the Torah. You see how people read their assumption into the text? The text says Moses wrote about me, but that could be anything. Moses wrote a few instructions here and a few instructions there in Exodus and Deuteronomy, I think Numbers. But outside of that, you don't get any Bible verses that say that Moses wrote the Torah. But people read that belief back into the Bible. People do this all the time. And a lot of times people don't even know where their beliefs about the Bible even come from. Yeah, Jesus didn't say a lot of things people say he did. Yep. So a lot of times people don't even question, where did that belief that I hold even come from? Do you guys know that the belief of King James onlyism can be traced back to, I think, the 1600s by a guy named Benjamin Wilkinson. Benjamin Wilkinson, he popularized the idea of King James onlyism. He wrote a book called Are Authorized King James Vindicated? And when Benjamin Wilkinson, who was a Seventh-day Adventist, when he wrote that book took off, and King James onlyism took off as well. I actually got my laptop. I actually can fire up my laptop and I can actually get the exact date when that book came out. But the reason why people hold to King James onlyism today is because Benjamin Wilkinson came out with that book. It became popular, and evangelicals began teaching it to their church, and people started to believe that the King James Bible was the Word of God, and people have never changed their beliefs ever since. That is why people hold to things like King James onlyism. So we have these beliefs, and we don't even know where these beliefs come from. It's let me see. This book is called Our Authorized. It says, it's Our Authorized Bible Vindicated. When did he come out with this book? The release date was 1930. The book came out in 1930. And when that book came out, it spread across evangelicalism. And people have never changed their minds, a lot of people, about the King James Bible. There are people till this day who still believe the King James Bible is the Word of God, even though Jesus wouldn't have had a King James Bible. A Bible didn't exist when Jesus was alive. Jesus had the Torah. He had the Tanakh, the Torah Navim Ketuvim. Jesus had scrolls. Books weren't even a thing. That's why when you go to the book of Luke, Jesus doesn't pull out a Bible in the book of Luke. Jesus reads from the great Isaiah scroll because books didn't exist. So a lot of people have beliefs about the Bible, and people don't even question, where did this belief come from? How did this belief get popular? Who came up with this belief? What's the name of the founder of this belief? We got 4 people in here. I see 2 people interacting. Who are the other 2? I met a guy who acted like the King James Version fell off the sky from God to him. That is insane. But most people think that way about the Bible in general. The Bible is a book that God wrote for me. This is written by God, for me, to me. And people don't ever think about the people who God used in the ancient Near East. God used a certain people who lived at a certain time 3,500 years ago, and it wasn't you. God used people, and these people had everyday lives. They had jobs. They had families. The people who wrote the Bible woke up. They ate breakfast. They got hungry. They didn't feel good some days. They had good days. They had bad days. They farted. Yes, the people who wrote the Bible, the scribes who put the pen to the pad, they had to pass gas. They had to go to the bathroom. They argued with their wives. They had good days. They had bad days. They were people just like me and you. They were people. People tend to think that the people who wrote the Bible were superhuman. They were people who lived in a culture like we live in a culture, and people tend to have this belief that the people who wrote the Bible, all they ever read was the Bible. That makes no sense. You live in the modern world, and you've read stuff besides the Bible. You've read Harry Potter. You read The Lord of the Rings. Some of y'all read 50 Shades of Grey. We're not going to talk about that one now. So y'all have read other books besides the Bible. So why do we have this belief that the people who wrote the Bible, all they read was the Bible and all they knew was the Bible, when the entire Bible wasn't even completed? The people who wrote Genesis didn't know about the book of Mark. The person who wrote the book of Mark didn't know about the book of John. The person who wrote... There you go. Somebody called me. Can you guys still hear me? I hate it when people do that. Can you guys still hear me? Are you guys still here? Let me know if you can still hear me. Let me know if you guys can hear me. Can you hear me? Okay, you can't? Okay, cool. Somebody called me. The person who wrote Ezekiel didn't know about Jeremiah, right? So we have to stop We have to stop having this weird, strange idea that the scribes who wrote the Tanakh, they were just superhuman. These people were not superhuman. They were average, everyday people, just like you and me. And they read stuff outside of the Tanakh because the Tanakh didn't even exist yet when these people were making the Tanakh. Think about that. The Tanakh didn't exist when these people were making the Tanakh. It didn't exist yet. Daniel didn't have a Bible when Daniel was in Babylon. What's the name of these people? Nisha, Risha, and Abednego. They didn't have a Bible. Gideon didn't have a Bible. Moses didn't have a Bible. Aaron didn't have a Bible. They had to write it. And when you write things, what do you get inspiration from? Where do you get inspiration from when you write things? You get inspiration from the things around you. Well, what was around Moses and what was around Aaron and what was around the people who wrote the Bible? Their culture. They got inspiration from the culture that was around them. That's why the Bible is similar to other cultures. Because when you write something down, you only are influenced by the things around you. That's why a lot of American movies, they all follow the same theme. They all follow the same narrative because they're all influenced by the same culture. Once we start thinking, I got removed from Bible study for this. They said the Bible was inspired by God, the Holy Spirit. I said, okay, in school, Spirit inspired the yearbook. Yes, school spirit did inspire the yearbook. Yes, like I don't know what people think. Like people think the Bible was inspired the same way how we say this movie was inspired by true events. I'm sorry to tell y'all this. Like this is definitely gonna break some people's faith, but hopefully this doesn't break your faith. Hopefully this makes your faith. The Bible was inspired the same way how we say this movie was inspired by true events. Which why would we expect anything different? Like, do we think God has a printing press up in heaven? Like God has a book club and Michael and Gabriel, they're a part of the printing press and they're printing out Bibles in the heavenly realm and then they're putting them in boxes and then God is shipping these boxes off into the heavenly Amazon. Like, we gotta be real, y'all. We gotta be real about how the Bible came together. The Bible came together by people. And that can be really difficult for people to understand. So this is what I talk about in my books. If you don't have my book, Secrets of the Bible from the East, hit that link in the comment section or in the it's a link for my book in the. I'm so used to being on TikTok. Y'all know what I'm talking about. It's a link in the description box. In the description box, if you don't have my books, get my books definitely in the description box. If you guys like my information I bring out, if you like the material, definitely get my books. I have a whole lot more information that I probably won't be able to get through tonight on live or whatever. But I talk about a lot of stuff in my books. They are on sale, and you will definitely help me out. If you want to help me in any financial way, get the books. Yes, get the books. Get the books. Get the books. So, Jared said crickets, crickets, crickets. Jared said no. Thank you, Jared, for participating. Are you a subscriber, by the way? I have a lot of people who subscribe to me and they hate me. But anyway, hater views count too. So if you hate me, keep up the good work. We love our haters. We love our haters. Thank you, Jared. Our haters give us views and they give us help too. You're definitely gonna boost me up in the algorithm. So thank you, Jared. I'll definitely get the book soon. Thank you, Jared. No, Jared, keep commenting, please. For the love of God, don't stop. Keep commenting. Like I need your comments. Like, come on. I need like 3 more people to come and heckle me. We need you, Jared. Don't go now. Shoot, keep on tapping, keep on typing. Boost us up. Like, don't go now, Jared. Shoot, you was doing a good job. We love our haters over here. We love our haters. Jesus had haters too. Jared is upset about something. It's all right. Stick around, Jared. You're going to be even more upset. In 1964, Congress switched the Republican Party. All right, stick around, Jared. Stick around. You're gonna be way more upset. I'm trying to see. I think I gotta go to this on my computer actually. Give me a second, y'all. But we got some people coming in and stuff like that. What'll happen is when I leave this live up, more people are gonna come in and more people are gonna see it and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So even though it's not a lot of people watching now, it's gonna be more people watching. So how many times do you yap a minute? How many times? So I think you mean what's the rate of speed I yap a minute? Oh boy, probably in 1 minute I can probably get out 1,222 words a minute. I don't know about Gus per second though. Bro's talking to his shadow. Certainly, bro needs a job. Definitely, if you got something for me, let me know. Thank you, Jared. Ladies and gentlemen, our hater. Thank you, Jared. We love our haters over here. We love our haters. Hi, hater. We love you. Okay, so let me see. Macchio, is it pronounced Macchio or Masio? Bro needs friends that support him. Yeah, Jared is upset about something. You're in a prison. Okay, that's adorable. Yeah, I don't care about that. So anyway, we're gonna leave Jared here. There you go. And I'm gonna make you, there you go. I just made you guys mods. So if my mods remove you or if my mods block you, I don't know what to tell you. But I'll keep you here. It's definitely entertaining to have you in here. But it'll give you something to write about. Now since I got your attention, who knows? Yeah. Mason Million. I'm cracking up. I gotta call you Mason Million. All right, I'll call you Mace. I'll call you. But is it Macchio or Masio? I don't want to mispronounce your name. And by the way, are you French? Will you happen to be French Haitian? Just a guess. Just a guess. Just a deduction. But anyway, where was I at? Talking about this Bible stuff. If you guys got questions for me, let me know. If you guys got questions, let me know. Let me know if you got questions for me. Let me know. But anyway, talking about all this stuff. Yeah, I got videos about Adam and Eve not existing. I'm gonna make more videos about the whole Adam and Eve thing, about how Adam and Eve didn't exist. I actually had what's up? What's your question? I actually had Maceo. Got it. Nope, just regular black dude. Oh, okay. I thought you were French Haitian or Haitian, right? Because I think some Haitian people speak French. Mark French. Wow, look at that. Speak of the devil, and he shall appear. I'm gonna turn my fan on because I'm a little hot. You guys see my fan up in the reflection. So, if you guys got any questions, let me know. But going more into what I'm talking about. So, my Adam and Eve video or videos, they actually do really good, irregardless of all the bad comments. You cannot answer this. Is heaven the perfect place? The devil, pain. I don't know what y'all are talking about. I have no idea what you guys are talking about in these comments. I have no idea what y'all are talking about. But yeah, my Adam and Eve videos, they do pretty good. They get people riled up, get some interaction, stuff like that. It's about the Watchers marrying human women, but I want to find out on my own. So when I come to the proper understanding, so I don't fight it. I have a video where I talk about Genesis chapter 6. I actually have a video where I talk about this. So do you want the real answer? I can give you the real answer. It might not be as exciting as the answer you're looking for. So you probably know about the woman in Genesis 6 from people like Dr. Michael Heiser, which, by the way, I actually had Adam and Eve will start wars. It definitely will start wars. I actually had I had the pleasure of meeting Michael Heiser and interviewing him twice. You can look at my Michael Heiser videos online. Just type up my name. Just type up Wayne Fillmore Michael Heiser, and he should come up. I interviewed Heiser 2 times, and I interviewed him a second time right before he got sick. Right before he got sick. Give me a second, y'all. All right. So the real answer is the original view of Genesis 6 is that originally the sons of God in Genesis 6 are the sons of Seth. And the view that the sons of God were angels, that view came later, around 200 BCE. The original view of Genesis 6, that view would have been around 550 BCE when Genesis chapters 1 to 11 was written down. So there's a gap between 500 BCE and around 200 BCE to when Enoch was written down. Enoch was written down after Genesis chapter 6, according to critical scholarship. I only deal with critical scholarship, critical dates, and I love what you said. You said, I'm tired of running. And most Christian apologists and Christians, they run from critical scholarship. And what happens is when people go to a real academic school, they go to school and they find out the evangelical dating system and how the evangelicals date these books are not correct. How do you square it with Jude? I don't. I don't square it with Jude, and I don't square it with 1 Peter. So because people have a view that the Bible is univocal, that just because the sons of God in Jude are angels, that must also mean that the sons of God in Genesis 6 are angels, and etc. So I can actually take you to, I'll show you, if you go to Genesis chapter 5, verse 3. And I'm actually going to turn my camera around while I talk to you guys and show you guys this. Can I even turn my camera around? Will it let me? There we go. So this is my Bible software. I'm going to read from here. So it says, when Adam had lived 130 years, he fathered a son in his own likeness, after his image, and named him Seth. Now, this is very important, and I'm going to go up a little bit. But you guys have probably never read that verse before. Adam had Seth, and Seth was in Adam's own likeness, and he was after his image. Michael Heiser and other people who hold to Genesis chapter 6, they go all the way down to Genesis 6, and they never deal with Genesis 3. They never deal with Genesis 4. They never deal with Genesis 5. They go to Genesis 6. So they go right here. Then they say, read Enoch. Go to Enoch. But Enoch is written hundreds of years after Genesis 6. Genesis 6 is written around 550 BC. The book of Enoch is written in 200 BC, around there. I would say around 165, 167 BCE. But there's a whole lot of context they don't deal with, which is right here. And I'll talk about that in another video. But I don't really feel like going into all the context, but I have a video, 2 videos ago where I just talked about this. And you'll see me deal with this. But originally you see that Seth is made in the image of Adam, and Seth is made in Adam's likeness, in Adam's image.
Well, we know that Adam is made in the image of God. So if Adam is made in the image of God, and if Adam has a son made in his likeness and his image, then Seth is made in the image of God too. Now, when you go up to Cain, Cain is not made in the image of God. Right? This is right here, verse 4. Now Adam knew his wife, and she conceived and bore Cain, saying, I have gotten a man with the help of the Lord. And again, she bore his brother Abel. So nothing about Cain being made in the image of God. You also don't have, or the image of Adam, you also don't have that about Abel. But when you go down into the narrative, there's something really interesting that starts to happen. You get this lineage of Cain where it talks about Cain and Cain's lineage. Are y'all still here with me? Let me know if y'all are still here with me. To the new people who came into the chat, say something. Hello, good afternoon, good evening. Let me get some number ones in the chat. I usually do that when I'm on TikTok. If y'all are here listening, let me get some number ones in the chat. So it says, the sister of Tubal-Cain was Naamah. Lamech said to his wives, so this is talking about Lamech. And actually Lamech is talking about right here. And Lamech took 2 wives and blah, blah. Lamech said to his 2 wives, Adah and Zillah, hear my voice, you wives of Lamech. Listen to what I say. I have killed a man for wounding me, a young man for striking me. If Cain's revenge is 7-fold, then Lamech is 77-fold. So it's showing that Cain's lineage is a bunch of murdering psychopaths like Cain. And then when you go down further, now you have Seth's lineage, right? And then, right, it's talking about how Seth has this good lineage. Seth's lineage is so good that Seth's descendant walks with God. Enoch walked with God after he fathered Methuselah, 300 years, and his other sons and daughters. So if you go up, Seth's descendants are murdering psychopaths. I mean, Cain's descendants are murdering psychopaths. And Seth's descendants are out here walking with God, just walking on water, just chilling. So you see the comparison in the genealogies between Seth's lineage is walking with God, and Enoch's lineage is evil. Well, this goes back to when you go to Genesis chapter 3, verse 15, where it says, I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your offspring and her offspring. He shall bruise your head, and you shall bruise his heel. Talking about these 2 offsprings. Your offspring, this is plural, your offspring and her offspring. As a matter of fact, I want to go to the lexicon, actually. Let me show you, I'm not making this up. A lot of this information, Michael Heiser and all these other people, they never deal with these verses. They give you Genesis 6, they give you Enoch, they give you Jude, but they don't tell you originally people didn't look at Genesis 6 as talking about angels. Are y'all enjoying this? Hopefully y'all are. Hopefully y'all share this video with some people and make them a little upset. So if you go to Genesis 3:15, we'll look at the Hebrew word for offspring. Your offspring, right here. And this is the Hebrew word. Zerah. Seed, offspring, descendants. I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your descendants and her descendants. And what you see is that Cain is a descendant of the serpent, and Seth is a descendant of Adam, a descendant of God. Now, this doesn't have anything to do with physicality. This has nothing to do with physicality at all. This all has to do with just spirituality and spiritual things. I'm not saying that Eve did stuff with the serpent. Give me a minute. I'll turn my heat off. It's getting hot in here. There we go. I'm back. Yeah, I'm not saying this has to do anything about physicality or anything. I'm not saying that Eve did stuff with a serpent, but now that you have a little bit more clarity, you can see what Genesis 6 is talking about. And I'm gonna finish up and I'm gonna wrap up. I told y'all I was gonna do this in my video, or I told y'all I had a video where y'all could watch this, and then I just ended up explaining it anyway. But it's all right because some of y'all probably not gonna watch that video anyway. So then, when you get down to Genesis 6, when man began to multiply on the face of the earth, or the face of the land, and daughters were born to them, the sons of God, who are the sons of God? The sons of God are the sons of Seth, saw that the daughters of man, these are the daughters of Cain, were attractive. And they took as their wives any they chose. Then the Lord said, my spirit shall not abide in man forever. Well, wait a minute. If these sons of God are angels, why is God mad with man? Think about that. If these sons of God are angels, why is God punishing men? Because they're men. They're men. And what happened was, when Enoch came out, Enoch was extremely popular, pretty much like it is now. And the view of Genesis 6 evolved from being about Seth and Cain's lineages to angels. So that is an evolved view that came later. That is why people believe what they believe about Genesis 6 today. Because they're holding to a view that came later, that evolved. Because the way how people look at the Bible is univocal, and people don't understand that the views of the Bible came through progression. The people who wrote Genesis chapter 1 to 11, they didn't believe what the people who wrote Jude believed. It's too much for people. So this is why we as Christians, we need critical scholarship. We need critical scholarship. In a lot of cases, critical scholarship can be our friends. And we get so caught up on, I'm going to lose my faith and I'm not going to believe in Jesus anymore. And at some point or another, you just got to say, look, listen, I believe Jesus is Lord, but I just want to understand my Bible. I just want to understand what this thing actually means. So, question, do two races occupy the earth? I don't know what you mean by that. I don't know what you mean by that. So, get these last questions in, guys, because I'm about to wrap it up. I'm about to get off here. I've been on here for about 45 minutes, almost an hour. Who is the other race? There is no other race. So if you're talking about scientifically, there's only one race, the human race. Race is a social construct made by people, but scientifically, there's only one race, the human race. So, on that note, if nobody else has any questions, hopefully you guys enjoyed the live. Hopefully you guys just like me just talking and just giving my views on different things. Like the live, share the live, leave some comments. I'm going to leave this live up. I'm going to probably do more things like this in the future where I just get on YouTube and I talk to you guys on YouTube because I'm usually on TikTok a lot. But I'm trying to transition from TikTok to YouTube. Did Lot's wife really get turned to salt? There is I was reading a commentary, and I think that has to do with covenantal language. And that's supposed to be covenantal or idiomatic language to denote that she perished. But yeah, I remember reading a commentary on that.
So I can't really remember too much of it. But I also don't think that that story about Sodom and Gomorrah is historical. Um, I think that story is more of a polemic against those two cities. Um, because what you see in that story is Lot's daughters, they do stuff with their father. And what that denotes is that the two daughters, even though the city was destroyed, the two daughters still had the ways of the Gentiles. And even when you look at the story with a fine tooth comb, Abraham's bargaining with Yahweh, and he says, "Oh, if there's only 10 people in the city, right? If there's only 10 people in the city, please don't destroy it." Out of all of these people in these two cities, because Sodom and Gomorrah is two cities, not just one, it's two. Out of all of these people, there ain't 10 righteous people in the city. There ain't even 10. And if you guys don't know, 10 was supposed to be a sacred number to the Israelites, because 10 is the amount of people that's in what's called a minyan. A minyan is a group of Jews who come together and they pray and they read Torah. And minyans were created. Minyans can be traced back to, I'm not going to say created, but they can be traced back to the Maccabean revolt when Jews couldn't go to synagogues. So they would meet up as groups so that they could read Torah and pray. Now, when you get to the New Testament, Jesus says, "Where two or three are you are in the midst, there I will be in the midst of you." Where in before, you needed 10 people, but now you only need two or three. And Jesus is building off of this Jewish idea of a minyan, where you needed 10 people in a group. And in the New Testament, Jesus changes that to you don't need 10, now you only need two or three. So when you look at that story of Abraham and Sodom and Gomorrah, that is a story that's trying to teach that the lineage of Abraham is righteous and the lineage of the Gentiles are just bad. And you see that same theme in Genesis 1 to 11, where you see this theme between lineages. One lineage is a lineage of God, and the other lineage is a bad lineage that's a pagan lineage. So you see these arguments with genealogies and lineages all throughout the Tanakh. And then in the New Testament, you see arguments being made with the lineage of Jesus. With the lineage of Jesus. With the lineage of Jesus. The lineage of Jesus is trying to make the argument that Jesus is worthy to be honored as a king because he comes from King David. And then when you get to the book of John is trying to argue Jesus isn't just worthy to be honored as a king because he comes from a king, but Jesus is worthy to be honored as God because he was with God in the beginning. And that type of genealogy in the New Testament, with John, that's a cosmic genealogy. And the genealogy where Jesus is being tied back to King David, that is That is a ascribed honor. That is an ascribed honor genealogy. Ascribed honor was the honor that was ascribed to you or the honor that was given to you just because of who you were born to. So in the ancient Near East, you had two types of honor. Honor was a really big thing in their culture. And you would have ascribed honor, and that was the honor that was given to you. Then you had another type of honor called achieved honor. And this is why in the New Testament, when Jesus meets John the Baptist in the New Testament. John the Baptist says, "This is the Lamb of God who takes away the sins of the world." John the Baptist isn't just yelling because he's crazy, even though I do think John the Baptist was a little bit, strange. John the Baptist, he's yelling out because he's making a royal announcement. He's making a royal proclamation of a king. John the Baptist is acting as a royal herald. He's heralding the arrival of the king. King Messiah is here. And when John baptizes Jesus, there's a voice that comes off the clouds. And who else is it but Jesus' daddy? And Jesus' daddy vindicates Jesus. And he says, "Yup, this is my son." The baptism of Jesus isn't just it's not just a random baptism. The baptism of Jesus is a royal coronation of a king. Jesus was coronated as the king of Israel when he got baptized. He was ascribed the honor that was due. And that's why his daddy comes to the baptism, so his daddy can give him the honor that's due. So then after Jesus is baptized, he goes into the wilderness because there's two types of honor in the ancient world. There was the honor that was ascribed to you, the honor that was given to you. Then there was the honor you had to achieve. There was the honor you had to go out, you had to go to war for. So what does Jesus do? After he's ascribed honor, now he has to achieve honor. So he goes out into the wilderness so he can face the devil. In the ancient world, one thing that you had to do so you could achieve honor is one of the things you could do is you could go out to the outskirts of the city in the desert. And if you survived being in the desert, you achieved honor. The Greco-Roman soldiers would literally do this. They would make people go out into the wilderness and they would fight animals and they would fight for their life. And if you made it back to the gates of Rome, you achieved honor. They would do very similar things with kings, where they would take kings out, you would go into the wilderness, and if you survived, you achieved the right to be a king. Remember when David was achieving the right to become king. David was achieving honor. That's why in the Old Testament, when the women are singing praises to David. And the women say, Saul has killed thousands, but David his 10,000s. Because David is achieving more honor than Saul. I talk about this in one of my shorts. When Jesus goes out into the wilderness, Jesus is also reversing the sins of Israel. Jesus goes into the wilderness for 40 days. Wait a minute. Israel was in the wilderness for 40 years. Jesus is tempted with bread from the devil. Just like the Israelites were tempted, or just like the Israelites tempted God with bread. You want to know what else is crazy? When the Israelites were in the desert, the Israelites had to give God a scapegoat. One scapegoat was for a deity named Azazel. The other scapegoat was for Yahweh. When Jesus got baptized, Jesus was showing himself to be a scapegoat for Yahweh. And then when he goes out into the wilderness, he's showing himself to be a scapegoat of Azazel. But in the Old Testament, when the Levitical priest let the scapegoat go into the wilderness, he never came back. Jesus goes out into the wilderness. Jesus is tempted with the same sins that Israel is tempted with, but Jesus doesn't fail. And because Jesus passes the test that Israel wasn't able to pass, Jesus is now able to come back to Israel and finish the job, finish the mission. You see this all throughout the New Testament where Jesus is reversing the sins of Israel. Where the corporate Son of God went wrong, this Son of God, the only unique Son of God, gets it right. There's so much context to this stuff. And we can't really dig into the meats and potatoes because people are too afraid to tell you guys what this stuff actually means. There's so much context to this stuff. There's so much to this stuff. And people always say, I can't tell this stuff to my church because they'll walk away or whatever. We just have to tell people the truth. They're going to find out anyway. They're going to find out when they go to seminary. They're going to find out when they go to Semitic studies. They're going to find out when they do ancient or Eastern studies. People are going to find this out anyway. We have to stop lying to people. And we have to stop thinking that people can't take this information. So it's really interesting. I was hooked. We have to stop thinking that people can't take this information. People are big boys and big girls. They can take the information. People are big boys and big girls. They can take it. So when you look at Jesus' life, and when you look at Jesus' life in accordance to that culture, right? When you look at Jesus' life according to that culture, the New Testament makes a lot more sense. A lot of times, outside of the Jared is bad, Jared is whatever. Nah, we good. Jared, thank you for being a heckler. You're actually going to bring me more views. Thank you, Jared. God bless you. God bless your little heart, Jared. So, a lot of times, we don't know why Jesus is doing the stuff he's doing in the New Testament. Why did Jesus walk on water? I don't know. Why did Jesus turn water into wine? I don't know. It was cool, though. Jesus did a thing. Why did Jesus transfigure like the sun on Mount Bashan? I don't know. It was cool, though. Why did Jesus go into the desert? I don't know. It was cool. Why did Jesus get baptized? I don't know. And a lot of times people don't know because people don't know about the culture. People don't know about the cultural context. People don't know that Jesus' baptism is a royal coronation. People don't know that Jesus going out into the wilderness is a royal testing of a king. Why did Jesus have to die on the cross the way he did? I have a whole video about this stuff. But like I said, I talk about a lot of this stuff in my books as well. Secrets of the Bible from the East is the name of my books. You can't get my books on Amazon. You can't get my books on eBay. You can only get my books by clicking on the link in the description. My books are on sale right now. There are 3 of them. Secrets of the Bible from the East. They come in a volume they come in a set of 3. My books are ebooks. They'll be directly emailed to you. If you have not gotten my books, what are you waiting for? Definitely get my books. If you guys like the information I've been bringing out on this live, get the books. I get so many people who are non-believers message me and email me, and they say, thank you for your books. Thank you for this information. I thought the Bible was stupid, but I read your books, and I didn't know what I was talking about. And all I can really think in my head is, obviously, you didn't know what you were talking about. Obviously. Obviously, you didn't know what you were talking about. But I get so many atheists and non-believers who get the books. I also have a course. I have a video library, and I treat that as a course for you guys. I have a video library of 40 hours of information. It is 40 hours of nothing but just textual criticism, biblical criticism, literary criticism, biblical scholars going into the meats and potatoes of this stuff. People are tired of, what's the word I'm thinking of? Of spiritual milk. People are tired of spiritual milk and spiritual candy. People have given us spiritual milk and spiritual candy for 57 years. We have spiritual diabetes now. People are tired of people not telling them what this stuff really means.
People are tired. People want to know what this stuff really means. This is why people are going to Enoch. This is why people are looking at books like Jasher. This is why people are looking at stuff like the Apocrypha. This is why when people look at documentary like Caesar's Messiah, they get hooked. Because we can't talk about this stuff in church. But we have to. We're going to need to. If we really want people to understand this stuff, we're going to need to. We're going to need to talk about this stuff. We're going to need children's books to break down cultural context. We're going to need material for young adults in church, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Because people are finding out this information when they turn 18 and they're walking away from the faith and they're never coming back. We don't need Christian apologetics anymore. The age of Christian apologetics is over. People are too smart for Christian apologetics. I'm gonna be honest. People are way too smart for that. Right now, we need actual literal scholarship. We need real academics and real scholars to have real relationships with the public and not BS people. People are tired of the apologetics and the gaslighting and the damage control. We just need real answers. And as long as I'm here, I'll give you guys the truth. As long as I'm here. I might not be able to talk at your church, but as long as I'm here, I'll give you guys truth. The truth. So, I'm off of here. Do you guys have any more questions? I've been on here for about an hour. I've actually been on here for about an hour. Try and wait and see if I can get some last questions out the way. But definitely, if you don't have my books, get my books in my bio. Give me a follow. Share this around. I know some people are probably going to listen to this in their car in the morning to work or whatever. But if that's it, if there's no more questions or anything like that, I guess I'm going to get off here. Link to my books is in the description. I also have a Facebook group. You guys can join my Facebook group. My Facebook group is in the description. And if you go to the link in my profile, you can also have access to my video course. It's 40 hours. I think that's in my description box as well. But if not, I'll figure it out. You know how many people waiting today on looking up on the sky and seeing the literal Jesus in clouds? Yeah, man. Yeah, man. So I said, I'll buy your books. I need firewood. So that proves, Jared, you didn't listen to a word I said. My books are digital books. You couldn't burn my books unless you bought my books, printed it out, and then lit them on fire. So buy my books, print them out, and then light them on fire. And it'll be good firewood. So buy them, light them on fire. Buy them, print them out, and then light them on fire. All right.